All right, here's some news links that I thought were interesting. Uh, the um, the New Yorker has a long article about China's situation, which is pretty bad, and I must say I saw this coming years ago. Their period of extremely rapid growth has come to an end. Now they're growing like 2 or 3% a year, just like the U.S., and that is seen as a disaster by the people in China who have gotten used to a growth rate like 10% a year. And youth unemployment is very high. And it talks also about something which I hadn't appreciated as much, which is that their current leader, Wang Xiaobo, is the guy that opened up China and gave people more freedom and made it possible for businesses to emerge, like um, their equivalent of Google, whose name escapes me. They've got some big companies there, and the new leader, uh, after Deng, it's Xi Jinping, right? Their current leader, yeah, Xi Jinping, has reversed back more towards essentially Mao, where the government controls everything. There are 630 names for him that are blocked on social media. They issue edicts that everybody in public statements will stop talking about inflation, and they will not talk about um, things inside China with certain phrases, but they must use other state-required phrases. And he's crushed the arts and the publication of books and fiction and everything else. This is very much like going back to the Cultural Revolution, where everybody is just ordered by the state what are the correct phrases to state and what are the correct shows to put out. And he's going back to all that. And this, they say, crushes the economy and it makes people, crushes people's freedom, and they feel very unhappy about it. And a lot of people that can leave. And people are now they're sending out clips with captions like West North Korea for what's happening as they get more and more unhappy about what's going on in China. And anyway, it's very interesting to hear about that. And one thing I saw here, which I had no idea, is that they said the birth rate in China has fallen in half since 2016. And I checked to see if that's true, and it is true. And so that's amazing. After the end of the one-child policy, the birth rate just continued to fall. And when they survey people, they say, well, it's too hard to find a job. And just sort of like the right-wingers in America, Xi Jinping is trying to say you need to go back to traditional values and the women staying at home and not having jobs and things like that. So they want to know something about stable diffusion, which needs 12 gigabytes. Well, I don't know anything about that, Chu. Anyway, I haven't run it locally. Anyway, it was very interesting, and well, I'm not quite sure what to make of it all, but I think it's very interesting stuff to know about. And let's see if there's any way to get past all the stupid ads. All right, so Meta is putting out smart glasses, which are Ray-Bans, and they look better than Google glasses, but they have the same problem as a privacy problem. And when the Google glasses came out, nobody would wear them, and nobody would let you go into a bar wearing them or anything, because they looked like this. It was incredibly obvious there was a camera there, and people could be recording you at any time, and they thought it was very intrusive and rude. The Ray-Bans look better, so I guess they're hoping the fact that they look better will make people stop paying attention to the fact that anybody could be recording you anywhere you go. Anyway, we'll see. But as they point out, they haven't done anything about the basic privacy implication here. There's a little light supposedly that comes on when they're recording you, but that's certainly not enough to inform people and obtain legal consent. And it's not enough that most people would notice it. So it means a whole lot more people are going to get filmed. Of course, I think that already happens as people film TikTok videos with their phone and everything. I think it must be 10 years ago I heard the average American gets their picture taken 180 times a day as they walk around. So anyway, well, supposedly you have to give consent to be recorded. And there was some system where supposedly it was going to, the wearable pins that somebody's trying to sell that sort of replace your iPhone and turn it into a pin, say they're going to supposedly record the voice of everybody who's consented to be recorded and remember that they've consented. But they haven't actually figured out how to do that or implemented that yet. So, they're just pretty much ignoring the privacy consequences, and we'll see if the people in the marketplace care. They didn't like the Google glasses, but it might have just been they made you look too ugly, not really the privacy. Anyway, this is amazing. In China, they used gene treatment to repair some cases of childhood deafness, and it worked. So it's just a few cases in a small trial, but it's I'm hearing more and more of this gene therapy, where you have a genetic disease where your body fails to make some all-important protein, and they can inject you with a virus that adds the missing DNA to your cells, so now you're cured. It really sounds great. Yeah, walking in public has no consent requirement. I would think not. Anyway, passkeys are coming. If you have a Google account, it's already constantly popping up telling you to sign in with a passkey. And so EFF has some recommendations about how to handle these passkeys and show you. Apparently, you can put a passkey in your password manager or something. Anyway, so they talk about this. They talk about reasons why you might want to use a password instead. For example, if you have shared accounts, there's no way to share a passkey. So if you are trying to share a Netflix password on two computers, a password would be better, although Netflix will bust you for that now. And they talk about concerns about the biometrics and what if your device gets stolen and so on. So it's interesting to read about the consequences of these passkeys. Certainly, if you didn't have to remember passwords all the time, that would be nice. Does the passkey rely on a physical cell phone? I think that is the most common way you do it. You put it on a cell phone or a laptop, and then it does biometric authentication to verify it. But there you can turn on different versions of it. I think you can carry it around on a USB stick too or something. There are various versions. And so Stanford apparently got hit by ransomware. So we'll probably be hearing more about this. And Elon Musk is now it's hard to understand what Elon Musk thinks he's doing. The smart money, I guess, is what I hear on the Pivot podcast. Because Elon Musk has destroyed Twitter. He's just lied and done the opposite of everything he said he would do, and he's crushed Twitter to where they're making 70% less money from advertisers, and they've lost 220% of their users, and they're making no money at all, and not even enough to pay the interest on the loan. And what he said is the purpose of this is he is trying to drive the stock price down to where he can buy off the loans he got from the bank for pennies on the dollar. Although what I'm hearing is that the people expect Twitter to recover, and they would only sell those loans for 85 cents on the dollar, which is not that big a savings. So I don't know. Some people say he's just a complete idiot, and he destroyed Twitter through just blindness to the consequences of his actions. Others say he is just a careful, strategic liar, and this is all a scheme of some sort. Anyway, now he's getting around to what he said before. He wants Twitter to become a financial institution. He wants it to become like the app in China that everybody uses for everything. The name I forget again. But there's some app you have to put on when you go to China. You pay for everything with an app. And it's also a chat app and everything. And he wants Twitter to be that. I think this is crazy because I don't think anybody trusts Elon Musk, but maybe he's right. You can often count on Americans to just forget the past very quickly. So anyway, oh my goodness, I got a text from Mike Johnson trying to raise money. Hey, that's not going to happen. Anyway, like Zuckbucks. Well, you'll see what happens. Yeah, Zuckbucks were the same. They couldn't even get clearance to put out a currency because nobody trusted Meta. And I don't think people are going to trust Twitter. But anyway, he thinks he's going to make it replace your bank. You won't even need a bank account. You'll just move all your money in Twitter all the time. So we'll see. This one surprised me. I've heard before that EVs are more, don't need as much repair. And they go longer, and repair shops will go out of business and everything else. Apparently, that's not true at all. Apparently, Hertz is finding that Teslas break all the time, and they keep getting damaged. And there's so much, it's actually making it too expensive for them to continue using electric cars. So that's interesting. It's the first large-scale attempt to put them out. And they found it cost a whole lot more than expected to run Teslas. When the passkey user loses its cell phone, yes, that's true. So that would be a concern, and that's why you would want to have a second factor on your passkey. Your passkey is supposed to have something like a biometric factor. I don't know if it's required, but that's certainly a good idea. Anyway, all right. And so people are just talking to ChatGPT now that it has a cell phone app and an audio interface, and they're just doing like this movie Her, where the guy falls in love with an AI. And people say it is very much like this. You can talk to it about things. Novelists say I go out and chat with ChatGPT for an hour to work out the plot of my novel and such. So I guess people aren't talking too much about falling in love with ChatGPT, but I'm sure that'll happen very soon if it hasn't already. They're treating it like a human they have a relationship with. And so here's this thing with the clickbait article claiming they have a breakthrough technique, but there isn't enough technical detail for me to decide what to make of this. What they claim is there's something called meta-learning for compositionality that makes it sound like it will understand what the words mean. Like they say, once you learn the notion of skip, they instantly grasp what skip twice around the room or skip with your hands up entails. So this reminds me a lot of the arguments about monkeys. There are monkeys and apes that people are taught sign language, and then people argue greatly about whether they actually understand the language or whether they've just memorized that certain signals produce food and such. And they're trying to determine this. And the same thing for AI. People are claiming that they have now enhanced ChatGPT to make compositional generalizations, which is another step towards actually understanding what it's saying, and they're arguing about it. It's very difficult stuff. Like I say, asking whether these things are conscious and really intelligent, the first thing you learn is that we don't really understand what consciousness is or what intelligence is. It's hard to define these things, so it's hard to know exactly how close we are to having artificial general intelligence. Anyway, let me end this stuff. I'll stop the recording.